conspired against by several elder Imperial brothers. His Majesty issued an edict banishing me from the capital city. Before my departure, he permitted me to select a few members from the secret guard to accompany me. Suddenly, a few lines of text fluttered before my eyes. Sigh. Our little sister disguised as a boy is about to be exiled. Due to the machinations of the other princes in the capital, the little sister never returned to the city for the rest of her life. In truth, had she chosen the right secret guards, those elder brothers might have fought desperately to bring her back. Right. 6 of the secret guard is the long-adored beloved of the crown prince. Left 1 was a beggar personally rescued by the second prince. Right. 3 is the illegitimate son of the third prince's mentor. Left 5 is the lifesaver of the fourth prince. Lil sis, primi quality men, go for it. The throne and men, I want them both. I rubbed my eyes, determined that the words drifting before me were not a hallucination, born of madness from my exile. Immediately a question dawned upon me. I looked toward the head of the secret guard camp. All the secret guards in our camp are male, yes. None disguised as women like me, right? The head was evidently unprepared for my question, pausing briefly before nodding in oblivious agreement. Of course, Your Highness, the 5th prince. Well then, that text claimed right 6 was the longtime beloved of the crown prince, my dignified, courteous, and virtuous eldest brother. Could he truly be a lover of the same sex? Very well, I cleared my throat, folding my hands behind my back, adopting an inscrutable demeanor. I shall personally select them. Lil sis, behold right 6. That one is the future crown princess. Indeed, the crown prince even relinquished the crown prince title he had secured to marry him. I could not help but roll my eyes inwardly. If you, eldest brother, are destined to give up the throne for this person, then why conspire with the others to trip me up? Why not simply hand the throne to me directly? Wouldn't that be simpler? Returning to the matter at hand. Right. 6. I raised my hand and pointed. Step forward. The slender youth blinked in surprise, his eyes briefly flickering with astonishment before he obediently stepped out of formation. Left 1. Left 1. This one was a beggar rescued by the second prince from among the refugees. After the second prince ascended the throne, this beggar's status soared, becoming a personal bodyguard, truly a meteoric rise. Right 3. Right 3. Our right 3 is the current grand tutor, the illegitimate son quietly raised outside the household by the third prince's mentor. Once he regains the status of the grand tutor's household member, he will sit for the imperial examinations, and, having achieved the triple first place, will become the youngest top scholar of our dynasty. Do not forget, left 5. Not only is he the lifesaver of the fourth prince, but later he helped the fourth prince manage taverns and shops in the capital, amassing enormous wealth, rivaling the richest. My eyes sparkled. This truly was the best among the best. I immediately began pointing. Left 1. The tall one stepped forward with a stern face. Right 3. The young man who had been furtively reading hastily stuffed his book into his arms and trotted out. Left 5. The one with twinkling eyes stepped forward with a cheerful smile, bowing slightly to me. I nodded in satisfaction. These 4 will do, no matter if they were the future crown princess, personal bodyguards, newly minted top scholars, or the richest men in the capital. Now, they would all accompany me in exile. The peculiar expressions on the 4 involved parties were left unspoken. The head of the secret guard camp, however, instantly changed his expression. Fifth Highness, he stammered. These few are, somewhat clumsy within the camp. Would you prefer to select others? What a coincidence, I raised an eyebrow. I happen to like the clumsy ones. Sweat beaded on the man's forehead. That won't do. Could it be? I stepped closer. That my elder brothers have given instructions forbidding me from taking certain people. Terrified, the man immediately dropped to his knees. Your humble servant dares not. I merely think these few may not be suitable for your highness. Not suitable. I find these candidates quite agreeable. I waved my hand. It shall be them. Prepare the documents. They will accompany me out of the capital soon. With that, I departed with the 4 secret guards, leaving the camp leader behind, helpless and tearful. Back at the residence, I began to immerse myself in admiring the beauty of these 4 prime equality men. Indeed, like my eldest brother, I too prefer men. But I am not a lover of the same sex. My sexual orientation is perfectly normal. The Empress, my own mother, watched anxiously as other consorts bore sons one after another. Finally, she awaited my birth, only to be disappointed by a daughter. Unwilling to let the throne fall into others' hands, my mother forced me to disguise myself as a boy all these years. The current sovereign has not named an heir. As the imperial son born of the Empress, I am undoubtedly the most legitimate successor. Naturally, I have become the common enemy of the other 4 princes. My 4 elder brothers have conspired against me, forming factions to falsely accuse me, resulting in my direct banishment from the capital by our father. According to the drifting text after this exile, the other princes will continuously slander me before the emperor, ensuring that I never return to the capital and wither away in the southern provinces. Fortunately, this journey is accompanied by 4 handsome men. Right, one is excused that one will be my future sister-in-law. The others I hiss and pant. Halfway through my hissing, a young eunuch came tumbling in. Your Highness. Bad news, Your Highness. The Crown Prince, Second Prince, Third Prince, Fourth Prince, all have arrived. What a farce. No more pretense. Before I could react, the 4 had already barged into my courtyard. The eldest brother led the way dressed impeccably, dignified and courteous, but his eyes wandered restlessly, clearly distracted. The second prince wore a cold expression, exuding keep away from strangers from head to toe. The third prince held a fan feigning calm, but the fan was nearly crushed in his grip. The fourth prince smiled amicably, yet the warmth never reached his eyes. The 4 stood in a line, gazing at me. One unfamiliar with the situation might assume I owed them a fortune. My esteemed brothers, I forced a dry laugh. Coming so late, are you here to bid me farewell? The eldest cleared his throat. Fifth brother, after some thought, your journey to the southern provinces is long and arduous, and you cannot travel unattended. I nodded. Hence, I selected 4 secret guards. The eldest's lips twitched. 4 may not suffice. How about this? I shall allocate half the guards from my household to you, and you replace these 4 secret guards. I blinked. Why replace them? The eldest was speechless. The second prince stepped forward. Fifth brother, one of the secret guards you selected is involved in a murder case and is unsuitable to accompany you. A murder case? I looked at him. Then how did he enter the secret guard camp? The second prince. The third prince hurried to smooth things over. Fifth brother, one of your chosen secret guards is in poor health. His reading has damaged his eyesight. If he travels to the south with you, he may become a burden. Poor health. I smiled. Perfect. The south is good for recuperation. He shall nurse him back to health. The third prince. The fourth prince finally stepped forward, smiling earnestly. Fifth brother, the last secret guard you chose is a troublemaker. Wherever he goes, mischief follows. You must not keep him. I smiled serenely. I have already been exiled from the capital by their mischief. What further harm can they do to me? The smile on the fourth prince's face froze in place. I crossed my arms and looked at them. I think I've caught on to the trick here. How about this? Whichever one of you tells me the truth, I'll consider replacing someone. The 4 of them exchanged glances, but none spoke a word. I smiled. So that means you have nothing to say. Guards, see these gentlemen out. The 4 were promptly expelled by my order. But this matter was far from over. The very next morning, before I had even risen, word came that the 4 princes had entered the palace. The emperor was reviewing memorials when he looked up to find his 4 sons kneeling neatly before him. What is the meaning of this? The eldest prince spoke first. Father, I believe the accusations of the 5th prince forming factions and engaging in private dealings lack sufficient evidence. To demote him hastily would likely fail to convince the people. The emperor raised an eyebrow. Oh, the second prince continued. Father, the 5th prince is still young and may have been misled. I am willing to vouch for him personally, harbors no ill intentions. The 3rd prince followed. Father, the 5th prince is gifted. If he spends a few years honing his skills in the capital, he will surely achieve great things. But if he is demoted now, it may crush his spirit. Finally, the 4th prince spoke. Father, I am prepared to stake all my possessions as guarantee that the 5th prince has no designs on rebellion. I beg you to rescind the decree. The emperor set down the memorial and gazed at his 4 kneeling sons in silence for a long moment. You 4, he said slowly, just a few days ago, did you not jointly petition, claiming the 5th prince was guilty of factionalism with irrefutable evidence? The 4's faces changed. Why is it that today you have all changed your tune? The eldest prince forced himself to speak. Father, after returning, I conducted a more thorough investigation and found some of the evidence questionable. Questionable. The emperor sneered. And yet you dared to petition me on that basis. The second prince quickly replied. It was our oversight. Please punish us, father. The emperor's gaze was deep and penetrating. Very well, very well. He rose and approached the 4. You 4 conspired to bring down the 5th prince just days ago, and now you conspire to protect him. Do you take me for a fool? The four prostrated themselves. We dare not. Dare not. The emperor snorted coldly. I think you dare very much. I had thought the fifth prince was merely guilty of ordinary factionalism, but never imagined his abilities were such that you would all come together to plead for him. The eldest prince grew anxious. Father, that is not the case. Enough. The emperor swept his sleeve. I had been considering letting the fifth prince leave in a few days, but now it seems not a single day can be spared. He turned to the chief eunuch beside him. Issue the decree. The fifth prince shall leave the capital first thing tomorrow morning without delay. The chief eunuch bowed and left to carry out the order. The four princes knelt on the ground, as if the sky itself had fallen upon them. When the news reached me, I was having breakfast. Upon hearing the young eunuch's report, I nearly spat out the porridge in my mouth. What did you say? My four elder brothers went to plead for me, and yet the emperor ordered me to leave tomorrow. The young eunuch nodded. Yes, your highness. I fell silent for 3 seconds. Then I laughed heartily, slapping the table. Those four fools. Had they not come to plead, I might have been able to stay in the capital a few more days, pack my things properly, and bid farewell to acquaintances. But by coming to plead, well then, I became the powerful figure capable of making four princes unite to protect me. No wonder father kicked me out. The next morning, before dawn, my carriage rolled out of the city gates. Just after passing the gate, the sound of hurried hoofbeats came from behind. Fifth brother, wait. I lifted the curtain to see the eldest prince galloping toward me, his robes disheveled, utterly lacking his usual dignified bearing. He reined in his horse and looked beyond me, fixing his gaze directly on Dark One, standing beside the carriage. That look, how to describe it? Sticky enough to stretch like taffy. Eldest brother, I said with a smile, are you here to see me off? The eldest prince came back to himself and cleared his throat. Ahem. Fifth brother, the journey to Jiangnan is long. I have come specially to send you off. Thank you, eldest brother, I continued smiling. But now that you've seen me off, you may return. The eldest prince choked slightly, his eyes involuntarily drifting back to Dark One. Dark One kept his head bowed the entire time, as if seeing nothing at all. Before I could say anything, another burst of hoofbeats sounded behind. The second prince arrived. Soon after, the third and fourth princes appeared as well. The four brothers surrounded me, creating an oddly tense scene. In this moment, I could not help but reflect. Truly, a loving family. My dear brothers, I said, folding my arms as I looked at them. Did you all coordinate to come see me off? The eldest prince, coincidence. The second prince, chance. The third prince, just happened. The fourth prince, fate. I don't believe a word of it. Very well, I waved my hand. Since you've come to see me off, I shall be on my way. The road to Jiangnan is long. Take care, brothers. Wait. The eldest prince finally broke character and rushed over to Dark One. Jew. He stood before Dark One, his eyes redrimmed. You're leaving. Dark One kept his head lowered, silent. The eldest prince pulled something from his chest and placed it in Dark One's hand. Take this, it's the jade pendant I've worn since childhood. If anyone bullies you in Jiangnan, take this to the local authorities. They will help you. Dark One looked up at him, lips moving before finally saying, Your Highness. Take care. The eldest prince's eyes reddened further. I could no longer bear it and pulled Dark One beside me. Ridiculous. With a great living prince like me here, do you really need that useless trinket to hold the fort? The eldest prince was worried. Fifth brother, you are still a demoted prince. Who knows what unobservant local officials might do to you? I ground my teeth. Then, may I ask, why exactly am I being demoted in the first place? The eldest prince was speechless. Nearby, the second prince stood before Dark Two, the two simply gazing at each other without a word. Finally, the second prince spoke first. Take care. Dark Two returned the gesture with a clasped fist. Benefactor, take care. Only 4 words. Yet the second prince's eyes were moist. The third prince and Dark Three stood together, both scholars, and quite talkative. Did you bring all your books? Yes. Remember to read on the road. Don't neglect your studies. Yes. When you get to Jiangnan, write to me. Okay. If you have any difficulties, write to me as well. Okay. The third prince seemed about to say more, but ended only with a sigh. The fourth prince and Dark Four had the most peculiar exchange. Why are you carrying so many things? They are all earning tools. What do you plan to do in Jiangnan? Work with the fifth prince. The fourth prince fell silent for a moment, lowering his voice. How about we partner up? Dark Four laughed. Your Highness, the fifth prince says you're unreliable. The fourth prince's face darkened. I stood to the side watching the scene. laughing until I could barely straighten my back. The eldest prince heard my laughter and turned to look at me. That look was so complex, it could fill a book. Yes, the title should be sister-in-law. Open the door, I am your brother. Fifth brother, he said, solemnly. Ah, Jew, I entrust him to you. No matter what, he is yours, now you. I raised an eyebrow. He is not mine, he is his own person. The eldest prince was momentarily stunned, then smiled bitterly. You are right. He cast a glance at An once more, drew a deep breath, then turned and vaulted onto his horse. The other three likewise mounted their steeds in quick succession. 4 horses stood abreast, by the roadside, their eyes fixed intently on our carriage as it slowly pulled away. I looked back once more. 4 Imperial brothers, 4 faces, each bearing a different expression, yet their gazes were identical, clinging steadfastly to the 4 figures trailing behind the carriage. I withdrew my gaze and turned toward the 4 individuals seated within the carriage, and one bowed his head, clutching the jade pendant tightly in his hand. His ears flushed crimson as if they might bleed, and 2 closed his eyes, yet his eyelashes trembled incessantly, and 3 held a book, its pages crumpled under his grip, and 4, unusually solemn, gazed absent-mindedly out the window. My 4 dear Imperial brothers were surely restless and uneasy in the capital. However, I lifted the carriage curtain, watching the city gates recede into the distance, a faint smile curling at the corner of my lips. Jiangnan, I have arrived. When I return, it will be time for a new order in this realm. Along the road to Jiangnan, I kept a close watch on the 4 shadow guards, and one was the quietest, seldom speaking, yet meticulous in his duty. Shesh brewed tea far superior to what I usually drank. Truly, my eldest brother was fortunate, and it was the tea brewed by my future sister-in-law. How delightful! And 2 was as cold and aloof as the second prince. But when it came to protecting me, his dedication was unwavering. He even slept with half an eye open. And 3 was remarkably studious, pulling out books at every spare moment. No wonder he was destined to achieve the highest honors in the Imperial examinations. And 4 was the most vivacious, having become familiar with everyone in the caravan within days. Even the horses pulling the carriage would snort twice upon seeing him. Throughout the journey, savoring tea poured by my future sister-in-law, enjoying the protection of my future sword-bearing guards, and in my leisure, my future top scholar read historical texts aloud to me. Meanwhile, my future wealthiest merchant pondered how to prosper upon arrival in Jiangnan. Most importantly, these 4 were strikingly spirited. My demoted existence could be described as leisurely and carefree. As for my brothers in the capital, restless and unable to eat or sleep, what concern did that have for me? Only upon reaching Jiangnan did I truly understand the meaning of the emperor is far away under the high heavens. Whoever was the brilliant mind to exile me to Jiangnan, brilliant indeed. On the very first day in Jiangnan, I transformed the residence of the 5th prince into Xiaoyao residence. The signboard at the gate was written by my own hand, crooked and uneven, but full of character in my eyes. And 4 looked at the signboard, hesitating to speak. Speak plainly, Your Highness. And 4 said cautiously, these characters possess a certain childlike charm. I kicked him. Speak human language. Ugly. I kicked him again. Yet and 4 was clever. In less than half a month, he had opened 3 shops in Suzhou City, selling so-called capital specialties, which were, in reality, worthless goods transported from the capital, exchanged for equally worthless local items. Profiting from the difference, I pressured An into studying for the Imperial exams, buying him an entire room full of books saying, bring me the top scholar title, and I will make your name known in the capital. With reddened eyes, and 3 vowed, Your Highness, I shall not fail your trust. And 2 was appointed chief instructor of Xiaoyao residence, responsible for training the guards. He was indeed skilled at military drills. After 3 months, every guard in my residence could take on 10 men, and 1 was assigned to manage the accounts. There was no other choice. She was fast at calculations and had neat handwriting. Most importantly, he was the beloved of my eldest brother. I must treat him well. Who knew when I might need him? Days passed, one after another. Each morning, I would rise and first check the ledger, and 4 had sent silver coins streaming in. Then, I would visit the backyard to watch and to train the troops, learning a few self-defense moves in passing. In the afternoon, I had An brew a pot of tea while listening to An share insights from his latest book. At night, the 4 of them dined together, laughing and chatting, far more joyful than life in the capital. If one said I had truly escaped the capital's intrigues, that would not be entirely accurate. After all, These four and my brothers in the capital had never ceased exchanging letters. They thought their correspondence was hidden from all eyes. But in truth, I knew everything. I even knew what they wrote, for these words drifting through the air were sometimes even more diligent than my shadow guards. And one has replied. Let me see what he wrote. Fifth Prince treats others sincerely. Your Highness need not worry about a Jew. A Jew is doing well now. TSK, TSK. The eldest prince's expression upon receiving this letter was truly priceless. I reclined in my lounge chair, cracking sunflower seeds, watching the words float by, unable to suppress a smile. No kidding. The one I had secretly admired for years now brewed tea daily in my residence and wrote letters praising me for my magnanimity. My eldest brother's heart must have shattered into pieces, and Tu's reply was even more extraordinary. The young master's talents are vast. His vision should encompass the world, not be fixated on a mere beggar. The fifth prince is worthy of my utmost loyalty. Ha ha ha. The second prince's face turned green when he saw the words utmost loyalty. I laughed until my seeds flew out of my mouth. The wolf pup raised by second prince himself now declared his loyalty to another. Who could bear that? And three's letter has arrived. The fifth prince truly understands my ambitions, though Jiangnan lies far away. My heart yearns for it. Third prince. Am not dead yet. I nearly toppled from my chair. And 303, you are courting death. The man who longed to adopt you as his mentor's orphan, only to find you saying the heart's longing was mine. Nothing less than a psychological assassination. But it was clearly in four who was the most cutting. The fifth prince's business acumen far surpasses mine. Fourth prince, if you have leisure, why not come to Jiangnan to meet the fifth prince? There will surely be much to gain. Translation: brother, you're no good. Fifth brother's the real talent. Why don't you learn from him? I was laughing so hard I could barely speak, and four appeared cheerful. Yet his barbs were mercilicious tongue, truly sharp. Back in the capital, the sky seemed to have fallen entirely. The eldest brother sat in his study all night after receiving the letter, then appeared at court the next day sporting 2 dark circles under his eyes. The second brother slammed the letter on the table after reading it, frightening the attending young eunuch into immediate prostration. The third brother studied the letter over and over, sighing deeply before folding it and tucking it into his inner robe. The fourth brother suffered the worst, took the letter to his advisors and asked, "Do you think old Five's mind is truly sharper than mine?" The advisors exchanged glances, none daring to answer. What unsettled them even more was another revelation conveyed in the letters. The fifth prince was a woman. This discovery came by pure chance. One day, a local official in Jiangnan invited me to dine at his residence. After several rounds of wine, I felt an unexpected flush of heat throughout my body. Only then did I learn that the wine was the daughter's red reserved for the brothel's special clientele. This daughter's red possessed a peculiar effect. Men felt nothing after drinking it, but for women, it had an aphrodisiac quality. That night, it was in 3 and in 4 who carried me out of the residence. Of course, before leaving, and 2 silenced all witnesses at the scene, namely, that accursed official, and once again, and 1 tended to me through the night without rest. How virtuous my male sister-in-law was. After this ordeal, my identity as a woman was thoroughly known to the 4 shadow guards. That wretched official deserved his fate. But I dared not lay a hand on these 4. If anything happened to them under my watch, my 4 Imperial brothers would surely descend upon Jiangnan to eliminate me. To this, my explanation to the shadow guards was, my mother could not bear the thought of the throne falling into anot's hands, so she forced me to disguise myself as a man for all these years. In truth, I never wished to be emperor. I only longed to live a life of wealth and leisure, carefree and unburdened. But there was no choice. My mother pressed hard, and I had to grit my teeth and endure. Now that I've been exiled to Jiangnan, it actually suits me perfectly. This explanation was transmitted back to the capital exactly as spoken. The fifth prince is a woman, and she harbors no desire for the throne. The 4 elder princes received this news with an astonishingly unanimous reaction. Silence. Prolonged silence. Then, so what exactly did we achieve by teaming up against her before? What else but a joke, a botched scheme that ended up damaging themselves? They had unwittingly pushed someone close to them into exile in Jiangnan. Now, it was necessary to find a way to bring her back. To redeem her, they needed to prove that the charges of factionalism against her had been fabricated, and the ones who had framed her at the time were precisely the 4 princes. The eldest prince knelt in the imperial study. "Father, your majesty, I have a memorial to present." The emperor was reviewing memorials, not even looking up. "Speak." "I wish to accuse my second brother. Last year, he secretly redeployed the Forbidden Army. claiming it was to suppress bandits, but, in truth, it was to eliminate his rivals. The emperor's brush paused. The eldest prince continued, and my third brother. He placed his confidence in the Ministry of Revenue and misappropriated treasury funds. Though the amount was small, the nature of the offense is grave. The fourth brother is no better. He colluded with salt merchants in Jiangnan, trafficking in illicit salt. I have already secured evidence. The emperor looked up and regarded him. Have you taken some wrong medicine today? The eldest prince kowtowed. I only feel that the exile of the fifth prince is riddled with doubts. Over these days, I have pondered deeply and discovered that most of the so-called evidence was fabricated by someone framing him. I am willing to stake my life and fortune to guarantee that the fifth prince harbors no ill intent. The emperor was silent for a moment, then waved his hand. Enough, you may leave. No sooner had the eldest prince left than the second prince arrived. Father, your majesty, I wish to accuse my eldest brother. He maintains close relations with the vice minister of rights, who is a disciple of the grand tutor. His intentions are glaringly obvious. The emperor, the second prince, went on. The third brother is also not clean. Last year, the evaluations of his men in the Ministry of War were all excellent. There must be some trickery. I will tear off their heads myself. The fourth brother is even more outrageous. He has deep ties with several banks in the capital, and your majesty should know who stands behind those banks better than I do. Taken together, all the charges leveled against the fifth prince at that time are baseless. The case of his factionalism is fraught with anomalies. I implore your majesty to investigate thoroughly. The emperor rubbed his temples. You're here to plead for the fifth prince as well. The second prince stood upright. I am merely stating the facts. The emperor waved him off. Leave. No sooner had the second prince departed than the third prince arrived. Father, your majesty, I wish to accuse. Enough, enough, the emperor interrupted. Did you all plan this together? The third prince was momentarily speechless. The emperor looked at him and suddenly smiled, a smile that made the third prince's heart turn cold. I have raised you all these years, and this is only the second time I have seen you so united. The emperor leaned back on the dragon throne. Only before, you were united to undermine the fifth prince, but now you are united to undermine each other while simultaneously trying to rescue him. The third prince knelt. Father, your majesty, I only what? The emperor waved him off. Too tired to listen. Leave. The third prince slunk away dejectedly. The fourth prince was the last to arrive. He had just knelt and was about to speak when the emperor said, Are you here to accuse your three older brothers as well? The fourth prince was taken aback, then nodded. Father, your majesty, you are wise. The emperor laughed aloud. Good, very good. He put down the memorial and looked at his fourth son kneeling before him. I have a question for you. The fourth prince raised his head. What favors did the fifth prince bestow upon you all that made you forevie to speak up in his defense? The fourth prince dared not utter a word. What could he say? That the fifth prince held people loyal to us, that we were not truly trying to save her, but to reclaim our own confidants. The emperor looked at him and suddenly sighed. Enough, I understand now. The fourth prince was stunned. Father, your majesty. Understand what? The emperor waved his hand. I know that the fifth prince is indeed covetous and powerful beyond measure. I think it best he remains quietly in Jiangnan. The fourth prince. The true factionalists were my four elder brothers. The court was a tangled web, some loyal to the eldest brother, some to the second, some to the third, and others to the fourth. Of course, a portion were loyal to my maternal clan. Therefore, when the entire court rose to defend me, the fifth prince exiled from the capital. The situation grew rather peculiar. The eldest prince's followers said, The fifth prince is loyal and true, harboring no ill intent. The second prince's followers said, The fifth prince is young and naive, surely framed. The third prince's followers said, The fifth prince is gifted and brilliant. His exile to Jiangnan is a loss to the court. The fourth prince's followers said, The fifth prince, well, he simply must not be exiled. As for my maternal clan, needless to say, they nearly shattered the bricks of the Golden Dragon Hall in their fervor. The emperor sat on the dragon throne, watching the ministers quarrel below, his beard twisting in anger. He could not comprehend it. A prince he personally decreed to be banished from the capital, how could he command the entire court to speak in his favor? Weren't these men usually loyal only to their own masters? Why had they suddenly united today? But no matter what, one could not provoke the will of the people. Though furious, the emperor had no choice but to relent. Enough, enough. He struck the dragon throne. Bring him back. Is that not possible? On the day of my return to the capital, the city gates were thronged with people. I rode a fine steed slowly leading the procession. Behind me were 4 spirited bodyguards. My 4 elder brothers stood within the city gates. Their expressions varied. I dismounted and approached them, clasping my fists in salute. 4 elder brothers, I hope you have been well. The eldest brother forced a smile. 5th brother, you have endured much. I was not weary at all. How could I compare to you, who waited anxiously in the capital? Upon entering the palace, my father sat high upon the dragon throne, gazing at me. Years apart had aged him greatly. I knelt and saluted. Your servant pays homage to his majesty. Rise, his voice hoarse. Come closer. Let me see. I stepped forward. My father studied me for a long moment, then suddenly smiled. You've gained weight. I touched my face. The waters and soil of Jiangnan agree with me. He stared at me again for a long while, saying nothing. I guessed he was still puzzling over how I had amassed such power that the entire court petitioned on my behalf. But he was destined never to find the answer. No sooner had I returned to my residence in the capital than my 4 elder brothers were already waiting. The eldest brother grasped the hand of the first bodyguard. Eyes redrimmed. A Jew, you have finally returned. The second brother stood before the second bodyguard, hesitating. The second bodyguard bowed. First benefactor, long time no see. After a long pause, the second brother only managed to say, you have lost weight. The third brother and the third bodyguard stood together, 2 scholars meeting, exchanging bows with exaggerated politeness. The 4th brother was the most straightforward, pulling the 4th bodyguard aside and asking, how exactly did you manage to earn 100,000 taels in a year? Dark 4th smiled slyly and said, learned it from 5th prince. The 4th Imperial brother's face darkened. The eldest Imperial brother took a deep breath and spoke with solemn gravity. Since all my brothers are present today, I shall speak plainly. I intend to wed a Jew as my legitimate consort. In this lifetime, I shall acknowledge only a Jew. Everyone present understood the eldest brother's meaning. To marry but one man meant no heirs. The ministers in the realm would inevitably refuse to see such a prince ascend the throne. Thus, the eldest brother effectively withdrew from the imperial succession struggle. A wave of sighs rippled through the hall. The second prince also approached. I raised an eyebrow. Second brother wouldn't also be marrying. What nonsense are you spouting? The second imperial brother angrily kicked me. What I mean is return dark second to me, and I can select a batch of dark guards from my own mansion to give you in exchange. I feigned contemplation. The third imperial brother cupped his hands towards me. 5th brother, dark third, wishes to continue following you, but he also desires to be recognized by his lineage. I hope to petition for him to enter the Grand Tutor's household as a recognized son of a concubine, so that he may have a proper status for the imperial examinations in the future. The 4th imperial brother was the most straightforward. 5th brother, name your price. I rolled my eyes. Not for sale. What? A Jokethus money tree is not something you sell, but cooperation is possible. I winked at him. Your trade routes my mind. 50-50 split. Interested. The 4th imperial brother paused, then smiled. Deal. 5 years later, the emperor passed away, and the will declared the 5th prince as successor. The court was stunned. No, rather, it accepted the news with remarkable calm. After all, throughout these years, there was one matter officials from all factions never quite understood. What exactly was His Highness's attitude towards me, the 5th prince? If he were an enemy, why did they send letters to Jiangnan every few days? If he were a friend, why did every letter arrive with the expression of a man who had lost his own father? If he were indifferent, then why did his gaze waver and his composure falter whenever the 5th prince was mentioned? Forget it. No use pondering. At this point, let them think as they will. On the day of the enthronement ceremony, I donned the dragon robe and ascended the throne step by step. The Dowager Empress, now elevated in status, stood beside me with a satisfied smile. I withdrew my gaze and looked toward my 4 elder brothers. The eldest brother stood at the forefront, his face calm and composed. He truly no longer cared for the throne. Since Dark One had finally consented to marry him, his life was now devoted solely to those around him. The third brother stood among the chief civil officials, meeting my gaze with a slight nod. Neither servile nor arrogant, poised and measured. That was always the way of third brother. A scholar's dignity would never be sullied by the ugliness of power struggles. Of course, it might also be because his strategist, Dark Third, was now on my side. He could never hope to outmaneuver me. The 4th brother stood at the rear, winking at me. In these years, our joint ventures had spread throughout the realm from silk to tea, from banks to escort agencies. There was no enterprise we did not touch. He was now as wealthy as a nation. I, wealthier than the world. We were each other's treasure gods. As for the second brother, my eyes swept over to him. His face was sullen and dark as iron. Well, no surprise there. After all, the celestial decree had clearly stated that the second brother was to ascend. And yet, the throne was intercepted by me. With his temper, there was no way he would simply accept it. But then the celestial decree had more to say. Laughing hysterically upon hearing the will, the second prince's first reaction was to storm into the Imperial study, intent on exposing Maybao as a girl. Guess what happened next? He was stopped by Dark Second. The moment he opened his mouth, Dark Second uttered only 2 sentences. First, fifth prince is pregnant with my child. Second, if you expose this, it will be 1 corpse and 3 lives lost. The second prince stood frozen, his expression shifting from anger to shock, to frustration, and finally to despair. Truly a masterclass in changing faces. His most powerless moment in life was surely this. Yes, the wolf cub he raised not only ran off with another, but now demanded his silence. What a human tragedy. Returning to the main point, let us warmly congratulate Maybao on ascending the throne. Maybao, better change that. Hail Her Majesty, the Empress. Hail Her Majesty, the Empress. Long live the Emperor. Long live the Emperor. Long live the Emperor. The ministers knelt shouting their acclamations. I sat upon the dragon throne, looking down upon it all. Then, I turned my gaze to the 4 standing beside the throne. Dark One, the loyal and righteous general, also consort to the eldest imperial brother. Dark 2, commander of the Imperial Guards, and father of the child within my womb. Dark 3, head of the Hanlin Academy, and my chief advisor. Dark 4, the wealthiest man in the nation, and keeper of my purse. The 4 stood there, looking at me, their eyes filled with mirth. I withdrew my gaze and looked beyond the hall. The sunlight was perfect, the sky unclouded for miles around.